baby, just rolling in your arms. I'm going away, Mom. What you want me to bring you back? Yeah, I'm going away. What you want me to bring you back? Something your good gal surely like. Don't want no gravy. Mama, that gravy cold. Don't want no gravy when that old gravy gets cold. When a bad luck woman ain't got no place to go. Miss your baby rolling in your arms. Yeah, you miss your baby rolling in your arms. If you don't ever see me, just count the days that I know. Frank Stokes. The song's actually a little bit longer than that. I don't know. He had about 2-3 more verses, but it's still the same basic pattern. It gets a little repetitive, but it's it's a great song. Frank Stokes was a really cool blues player. He was one of the first. This is kind of pre-blues, of course. This is before we have a standard 10, 12 or 8 bar blues pattern. Frank Stokes was a huge influence on Jimmie Rodgers. If you're familiar with Jimmie Rodgers' music, we did a Jimmie Rodgers song last week, and I explained that the biggest influences on Jimmie Rodgers were Frank Stokes and Emmett Miller. Well, that line, "I'm going away, what you want me to bring you back," is signature to Jimmie Rodgers' Mule Skinner Blues. But he says, a bottle of booze and a Johnny Stetson hat. So he makes it his own, He was known to take a few drinks, to say the least. And Frank Stokes said something that your good gal lack, or something like that. It's old recordings from the 1920s. Sometimes the lyrics can be a little hard to understand, and maybe some of the lines are more like speculated on than a lot. But this is folk music. That's how we get a lot of those interesting little variations and surprises. It's sort of like the old joke about Creedence Clearwater's "Bad Moon on the Rise." It's a bad moon on the rise, not there's a bathroom on the right. You could hear it both ways. Or Jimi Hendrix, "Excuse me while I kiss this guy," instead of "Excuse me while I kiss the sky." And if you hear it one way, it's kind of hard to hear it the other way, and that's where a lot of our folk music actually does come from. But Frank Stokes was an original. Of course, people always say, when did blues music begin? Well, nobody knows. Nobody knows when old-time country began. Nobody knows really when jazz began. I mean, was Buddy Bolden really playing jazz before King Oliver? Some of his contemporaries said he was really more of a blues musician. Who knows, right? It doesn't matter. Really, Frank Stokes was born in the 1800s. He was really more of a minstrel show performer. That's controversial now, but Frank Stokes was a black man from Mississippi, if I remember correctly, who wore blackface makeup. He and Emmett Miller were contemporaries, and that was really common at the time. I mean, a black man would paint his face black or white and play a black rural character that may have been in the sun more, or a white rural character, or an uptown. Sometimes the black guy would play like with Emmett Miller. Sometimes, according to legend, Scatman Crothers would wear whiteface and Emmett Miller would wear blackface. And I know this is all so politically incorrect and nobody wants to admit this stuff today. But in the 1890s to 1920s, that was really common. And I mean, if you ever saw the show Amos and Andy, one of them was black and one of them was white wearing black makeup. And it was pretty darn funny show, actually. Real predecessor to Sanford and Son, and people may get all offended at it now, but I mean, I don't remember if Amos or Andy was the white guy, but had it not been for him, the regulations at the time probably would not have allowed an entirely black show on television or radio. So one of the characters wearing blackface makeup may be offensive to us now, but there may not have been an Amos and Andy show without him. It's something to think about. And when people get all offended, just say, hey, wait, Al Jolson's a great figure in American music, right? He wore blackface makeup. Is it okay if it's a Jewish guy from up north, but not okay if it's a white guy from Georgia? What about if it's Frank Stokes, who would put on black makeup to look blacker? I don't know. I think people really need to get over themselves and just appreciate music for what it is. And all of those aforementioned artists apparently Al Jolson was just fantastic in his heyday. The only recordings we have of him are much later, and he was, not quite the dynamic performer people say he was. Emmett Miller was certainly fantastic. And Frank Stokes was great. I mean, Frank Stokes was one of the foundational figures in American music. Well, like I said, it's just kind of pre-blues, and it's got an interesting rhythm. Let's see. It's not your standard alternating bass or driving, what they call a monotonic bass. It's actually got a little Caribbean beat to it, sort of, would have been very common in late 1800s, early 1900s. A lot of Creoles and such coming in from the island of Guadeloupe and various islands were bringing this same music that influenced reggae and ska, was a big influence on early blues. So let's get into the song. We're going to start in the chord. It's in the key of C, so we're going to start on a C chord, okay? But we're going to put down our finger on the G, all right? Little finger, first string, third fret. We're going to hit that twice, just like that. Get that little roll going. And I'm alternating like this, basically, and playing the melody with my middle finger. If you're a two-finger picker, your thumb's going to have to do more work. That's all there is to it. You can do it. Some of the two-finger pickers like Merle Travis are some of the best that ever played the instrument. So let's, I use three fingers. Sometimes I use 4 and 5, but let's dig in with 3 today. Kind of mute the bass a little bit, as usual. So, keep your fingers in the C shape. Slide up essentially to a D chord with your first little finger on the A. Like basically like that, all right. So we're going to go. Really very simple. It sounds great, I think. Just take your pinky and bounce off that D note on the 3rd fret. Go into the F. That's basically it. I mean, you're just repeating that pattern. So it went from F. Let's see. And this time slide up to 7th. But we're just going to keep 2 fingers down. We got our pinky on the 1st string and ring finger on the 5th string. That's it. We've got this note kind of muted, so we're going to slide up and then just drop the thumb down on the 4th string. Yeah, that's pretty much the way he did it. He may have gone. Maybe like that? I don't know. But it's hard to tell on those old records. Those old 78s are a little scratchy, but... And then we're just going to walk down. From a G, standard G major, G7, and then a little hammer on such. The other thing about Frank Stokes records, because they're a little scratchy, it's hard to tell if he's picking every note cleanly or if he may be doing more like the old Maybelle Carter, pull up through a few strings. I don't know if I can even really imitate that. It'd be more like a... See, you're doing a backward strum. That's the old Maybelle Carter scratch. They call it the Carter scratch. He could really be doing that, and that's a very Afro-Cuban sound. If you listen to a lot of African and Cuban, Caribbean, of African descent guitar players, they will do that a lot. So interesting that finds its way into early country music as well. The Carter family were very close friends with a blues player, a black blues player from Asheville. His name escapes me right this minute, but there's a lot of that influence on their music. Remember, people were not in the rural South were nowhere near as segregated as Ken Burns and others would have you believe. They grew up together, they lived together, they worked together, they were often related to each other, and that's the melting pot that is the South that created every single original form of American music. Name a form of American music. It all started in the South. Blues, country, bluegrass, old time, jazz, soul, gospel, R&B, funk, absolutely. George Clinton was from Charlotte. I mean, no, was he Charlotte? No. Maceo Parker was from Charlotte. And George Clinton was from Durham, Chapel Hill area, North Carolina. James Brown, of course, from Georgia. I mean, from rock and roll, rockabilly, rock and roll, every single form of American music originates in the South. We're the real melting pot. And believe it or not, we get along a lot better than Yankees normally portray us as, or do in their own towns. You can find some pretty darn segregated northern neighborhoods where in the South everybody's just kind of jammed together usually. But anyway, especially if you're on the poorer side, you end up growing up and working together. You know, I always say people are like, "Oh, you're Southern, you must be racist." Well, I actually grew up in Robeson County, North Carolina, which is what they call majority minority county. There were more black and Lumbee folks than there were white folks, but my family had been there since the 1600s, and I grew up playing with all the black and Lumbee kids, and we never thought a thing of it. We ate in each other's houses, we went to school together, we played football, we beat the crap out of each other, dated each other's sisters and cousins, and nobody thought a thing of it. But anyway, it's not what they want to tell you on television. Anyway, let's go through it. I'll go through it one more time. I think we can wrap it up. But anyway. I screwed that up. Let's try it one more time. Great old tune, and yeah, so influential, so very influential. I mean, Mississippi John Hurt was influenced by this. Frank Stokes was a big influence, even on somebody I'm trying to think of, the father of Delta blues. I've talked about him so much. That great gravelly voice and that style of picking. It'll come to me later. I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. I'm just blinking. But even, Elmore James would have looked back to somebody like Frank Stokes. And Frank Stokes' music is essentially pre-blues, but you can hear all those elements coming in there that, would eventually make Mississippi and Louisiana and Memphis blues, and Texas and North Carolina and all that, Piedmont style, what it was and what it still is. And it's just, you're one step away from Elmore James and Howlin' Wolf to Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf when Howlin' Wolf went up to Chicago. I mean, it's all coming from the same origin. And probably in a few weeks, maybe I'll start playing some Sam McGee and such, and you'll see that white players at the time were playing pretty much the exact same music. It's just maybe with a fiddle accompaniment as opposed to a harmonica accompaniment. And that's the rich soup, the rich broth from which rock and roll and all American music really originates. The mixture of African, Native American, Scots, Irish, English, German, in Western swing you get a polka influence, Czech even. The mixture of those cultures that happen in the South. French, big French influence. Gosh, I mean, there would be no jazz without the French influence. Whether it's, you want to think about Zydeco or you go back a little bit further, the French were hugely influential in American music. There's no jazz without Creoles, and Creoles are people of French descent, often a mixed race. Sometimes I'm part Creole, sometimes they're as white as I am, sometimes they're as black as, I don't know, King Oliver. King Oliver's Creole band. I mean, Kid Ory, King Oliver, they were all Creoles. Jelly Roll Morton was a Creole. Jelly Roll Morton was a man of very dark skin and black hair, and when someone would call him, I didn't say black at the time, they probably would have said Negro or something, he would fight them. I mean, he did not wish to be called black. That's, again, controversial to this day. I mean, according, again, to Ken Burns, all jazz musicians were black. Jelly Roll Morton would have punched him in the face. Actually, he was a really bad dude. He probably would have cut him. He carried a razor blade, he carried a gun, he had been a pimp and a gangster and a bootlegger. He would have killed him. I mean, seriously, he grew up in a brothel playing piano and was this very tough and very opinionated, and he did not consider himself a black or Negro musician, as they would have said at the time. He considered himself to be Creole. No, his heritage was Creole. He just happened to have more African heritage in it than he did, French or Spanish. But as far as I'm concerned, he can call himself whatever he wants. I don't know why everybody has to put everything in tight little boxes these days. It's like, well, this is blues and this is jazz and this is rock and roll and this is country, and never the, what did I say, 5? I don't know. If it was 4, never the quatrain show me, right? I don't know. I lost count. No, really, it all comes from the same people, mixing together, sharing influences. You take tap dance. Tap dance and Irish step dance are basically the same thing. Basically the same thing. Two cultures that spend a lot of time together on the farms down south. You can get buck dancing in the Appalachian Mountains, Irish step dancing, you can get tap dancing. Where I grew up, there were a lot of black folks that buck dance too. You may not know what buck dancing is. It's the predecessor to clogging, like you might see on the Grand Ole Opry or something. Or you used to when the Grand Ole Opry actually played country music. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, y'all, have a great time with this song. I'll play it through one more time and sign off.